It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the community of Colihaut. It is a historic moment for the Village Council. It is the 18th inaugural meeting.
I, Najmi George, do swear
I, Najmi George, do swear
that I will well and faithfully discharge
that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of a member
the duties of a member
of the Village Council of Colihaut.
of the Village Council of Colihaut.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I, Nickel Noel,
I, Nikhil Noel,
do swear that
do swear that
I will well and faithfully discharge
I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of a member
the duties of a member
of the Village Council of Colihaut.
of the Village Council of Colihaut.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I, Arthur Knight,
I, Arthur Knight,
do swear that
do swear that
I will well and faithfully discharge
I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of a member
the duties of a member
of the Village Council of Colihaut.
of the Village Council of Colihaut.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I, Annika Valentine,
I, Annika Valentine,
do swear that
do swear that
I will well and faithfully discharge
I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of a member
the duties of a member
of the Village Council of Colihaut.
of the Village Council of Colihaut.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I, Wendell Shillingford,
I, Wendell Shillingford,
do swear that
do swear that
I will well and faithfully discharge
I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of a member
the duties of a member
of the Village Council of Colihaut.
of the Village Council of Colihaut.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Minister, Honourable Roosevelt Skerrit, Minister for Finance, Foreign Affairs and Information Technology. Make him feel welcome.
Thank you. Let me, first of all, congratulate the chairman, Mr. George, and the councillors for making themselves available at the service of the people of Colihaut. Taking on leadership roles is a very serious business because you're charged with the responsibility of charting the way forward for this beautiful village for the next 3 years. And therefore, a lot rests on your shoulders. And commitment and love of community are important characteristics you must have. You must love the people to be able to serve them. If you do not love them, there's no way you can serve them. Because people these days make themselves available to positions of leadership, not because they love their country or the community, not because they would like to see things better in Dominica. It is simply because they do not like who is there at present. And that ought not to be a motivation for one to make himself available or herself available to lead a community or country. As indicated by the Member of Parliament, who I thought had a very good speech, we're living in very difficult times. Every corner of the world speaks to challenges. I was speaking to the Prime Minister of Barbados this week, and he's saying to me that there was a recommendation to the government of Barbados to send home 10,000 people. There are countries in the CARICOM and the OECS who will be implementing austerity measures. Some of them will go to the IMF directly, others will implement homegrown austerity measures. Sending people home, cutting salaries, and increasing taxation on their citizens. They are doing these things not because they do not like their people. It is because they just cannot afford to pay the bill of running the country. We in Dominica on the other hand, notwithstanding our own challenges, and do not make anybody tell you that we don't have challenges. We have our challenges. Notwithstanding our challenges, we have not sent home one person in the public service, and we do not intend to send anybody home in the foreseeable future. On the contrary, we have increased the number of people who are employed in the public service, either directly or through the National Employment Program. We have not cut one of our social safety net programs. Not one has been affected. On the contrary, we have increased the number of social programs we have to protect the poor and the vulnerable. Just recently, I made an announcement publicly of government's intention to cover the full cost of operating the Alpha Center, a center where several of our disadvantaged people in our country, people with different forms of challenges, are attending. Because we believe that the country has a responsibility, the government has a responsibility to provide for the less fortunate. There is no government in the history of Dominica, none whatsoever, that has spent on housing as we have done in the last 6 or 7 years under this Labour Party administration. And we have done so not because we believe that it is the government's responsibility to provide housing for people, but we recognize that there will always be people who would like to have a home, or who would like to have a washroom, or who would like to improve their home, but will not have the means of doing this. And you have seen us being criticized. People have accused us in the opposition in particular for giving handouts to people. So far, we have spent in excess of $10 million providing direct grant support to people with small businesses. Obviously, you will never be able to help everybody at the same time. But over 2,500 Dominicans have benefited from a small business support unit in Dominica. And you can appreciate what these things have meant for those who have received it. In Dominica, a scan at the hospital costs $500 EC. You go to a hospital in Miami or in New York, and a scan will cost you $3,500 US. And people want to talk about change in Dominica. Change to what? Change for what? When we came into office, and certainly when I became Prime Minister, we had no intensive care unit at the hospital. We first had an intensive care unit in Dominica in 2005. And when the Ministry of Health provides me with the statistics of the number of people who have used the ICU, doctors are saying one can appreciate the number of people who died in Dominica because of the absence of an intensive care unit, a very critical component of any hospital. When we came into government, the poor, the elderly, and the children of Dominica had to pay hospital fees. And you who are 60 and 70 years and who have grandparents who couldn't afford, you either stayed away from the hospital because you don't want anybody to embarrass you, or you have to go and beg your neighbor to lend you $40 to go and do a blood test at the hospital. Today, our senior citizens, people 60 and over, can go to the hospital and take and enjoy the services that they're provided, and all you say when you're leaving to the nurses and doctors, thank you for the care you're given to me. The change to that, what people are talking about, is privatizing the hospital. Privatizing the hospital so that the 60 and over who are receiving free medical care and the 18 and younger who are receiving free medical care will have to pay the private owners of the hospital for the services. When we came into office, and the Member of Parliament alluded to it, only 7% of all our secondary school graduates attended the state college. 7%. Today, it is 87%, and we have set the platform to allow it to be 100%. And that's what this Labour Party government has been doing for the country in very difficult times. And if you believe that you can sit in Dominica as a Prime Minister of the government and believe that development will come to your country, you're fooling yourself. And that is why in our recent history, the two people that they have criticized as and they've considered to be beggars were Eugenia Charles, may her soul rest in peace, and myself. Because, and of course, the two leaders, Pierre Charles and Rosie, did not stay long enough for them to have that title ascribed to them by the opposition. Eugenia Charles, may her soul rest in peace, understood back then that she had to go out to fetch resources to build Dominica. Because our economy and our tax base will never be able to generate the kind of revenue you need to run this country. We're buying new medical equipment at the hospital. New medical equipment, the mammograms, so that the ladies and indeed the men too can go and check on their breasts. So because of the high incidence of breast cancer. Our mission is to ensure that the services which people would go out to Dominica for, you can have it right here in Dominica. And with the purchase of the orthopedic equipment, with regards to knee replacements and other bone fractures, it will cost us about, getting the doctor from Martinique, about 7,000 euros. My understanding from the doctors that will be reduced to about 700 EC dollars because of the investments that we're making at the hospital in respect to orthopedic equipment at the hospital. And the doctors are saying that is like Rolls-Royce compared to a Fiat or Mitsubishi. That's how advanced the equipment that we have purchased at the hospital. And we also are purchasing MRI, which will prevent you from going to Antigua and Barbados, paying airfare, paying taxi, paying departure tax, paying hotel, paying for meals. You'll simply take a $10 drive to the hospital and do that MRI. And those of you 60 and over will receive it free of charge. So, when people come and they talk about what they want to do and what they will do and what they wouldn't do and all these things, talk is cheap. And as one Prime Minister says, that with talk shows, talk is even cheaper these days. So anybody can say something. The most difficult thing is your ability or inability to do what you wish to do. And do you have the resources to do it? Do you have the resources to do it? A guy cannot come and tell you that he will buy you a nice car if he driving a Brogodo. So, bossman, if you want to buy me a nice car, why don't you buy a nice one for yourself first? And you used to hear them criticizing, scared of all sorts of things. Now you hear people taking people land, you hear people taking people money, and they're justifying people taking people land and people money with no authority. But I did not come here to talk about that because the village council inauguration. But at the appropriate time, I shall come back here to deal with those issues and those who are making themselves available for public office in Dominica. So I want to tell the Parliament, rest assured, that of the 240 tons of fertilizer that we received from the Kingdom of Morocco, you here in Colihaut will benefit from this fertilizer. And I am very happy that we can report to you, as you have done, Parliament, that platinum pear is ready to be sold to the people of Colihaut. And I'm saying publicly, the minister is here, the Parliament is here, that this land is for the people of Colihaut. We have a maximum of 75 lots which we can have at platinum pear. 30 are ready to be sold. And the 45 we are surveying and mapping them out, and we shall come back here. So we are ready to sell the land to the people of Colihaut. And I want to, sometimes, all of us, we have a lot to say about Tula. Tula this boy, Tula that boy. But you must thank Tula, your pal rep, for giving great representation on behalf of Colihaut on this land matter. Every time Tula would come to meeting, Tula would raise the issue of platinum pear to me and to the minister and to the cabinet and to the party. And I really want to recognize his efforts. He has his own limitations and so forth, but one cannot deny that in many instances he has been exemplary in assisting the Colihaut constituency. But sometimes maybe when you go, people will miss you. So I'm sure you guys are going to miss Tula one day. But ladies and gentlemen, let me say to the chairman that he's a young man, and as we have worked very well in the last term, and of course the council, rest assured of my unwavering support to you, Mr. Chairman, and to the council in assisting with fetching of the resources, because you can have a council, you can have projects and programs, but you cannot raise it by selling barbecues all the time. You're going to need the cooperation of central government, the cooperation of the Parliament in getting many of these projects going forward. I know we've started the basketball court, but we have to put the washrooms, we have to put the lights, and because there was no plan to put the lights, but I'm saying we should put lights on the basketball court. And we shall provide the resources for the lighting of the basketball court and also the completion of the washrooms. And I know there are issues of some roads in the village, but for me, the most urgent matter in Colihaut has to do with the government's continued efforts to assisting people with their housing situation. And ensuring that every single home in Colihaut has a washroom. We have to work on that. And I am making a public commitment in respect to Colihaut and the washrooms that we have to work on. I'm making a commitment of $250,000 to address the washroom situation in Colihaut. Clearly it will not address everything, but it will be a very important start. And so let us focus on the washroom situation. And people have criticized myself and the government for this program, but that's a matter for them. That's a matter for them. But those of us who have it know of the convenience of it and the importance of it. And because we have a responsibility as leaders. Because God has placed us there to help people. And we have a responsibility to do everything humanly possible to better people's lives. To ensure that if your children cannot pay the bus fare or you cannot pay the bus fare for your children, we have to help you. And I recall driving so many days and seeing so many of your children on the roadside in St. Joseph and elsewhere, trying to get home. School ended at 1 o'clock, 4, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, they are still on the road. And we have come in and we are providing free transportation to every single child in Colihaut, whether the child comes from a blue home, a green home, a red home, a pink home, the child is benefiting. Our policies, our social programs have never discriminated against anybody. We have always provided the care and the support to everybody, irrespective of who you are and where you come from. And I recall when we introduced the school transfer grant. And I can tell you some of the reasons why we introduced the school transfer grant of $500. And you heard the Prime Minister of St. Lucia saying publicly that St. Lucia is doing it. And you know where he said they get it from? They got it from Dominica. And he has asked me about the washroom program because he would like to implement it in St. Lucia as well. And we introduced this program because I was a teacher, I was a student myself, and you would see students coming to school for the first time in the 5 years to secondary school, but not having a new bag, not having a new shoe. They have their brother's pants and shirt, and they feel less of a student. And we felt in the government that when school begins on the first day in September for the school year, that every child can look new with new bag, new shoe, new pant, new shirt, and feel comfortable and motivated. And to assist those who cannot, to be able to buy books for the children. That's what we've been doing as a government. These things cost money. It costs money. Likewise, the ESV Care program. And there's some people in Colihaut who are under the ESV Care program. Reaching out to the older people. Saying to them, people who, and I used to go across Dominica and see older people trying to cook something for themselves. Not having bathed for several days. The sheets are black on the bed. Unable, 85 years, 86-year-old couple. Going out there trying to light a fire to make coffee in the morning, whether it's raining or not. How can we leave our senior citizens in that state? We have a responsibility, as costly as it is. We have to stick to the ESV Care program to continue providing for the elderly. Because in life, my dear friends, you and I want to get somewhere, but we never know what the future really holds for us. And we have to treat people how we would like to be treated. And that's what the Labour Party is about. That's what the leadership of the Labour Party is about. So one day, if I get to the state of the senior citizen, I would want to know that there is a program where somebody can come and bathe me in the morning, give me a meal, wash my clothes for me, clean my home, and let me feel comfortable. And I want to commend the Minister finally of Water, because he has instructed DOASCO, and DOASCO has agreed with regards to the washroom program, that people who do not have water DOASCO shall connect the water free of charge for these people. And give you 3 months free water. So DOASCO will cover the cost of connection and 3 months of no payment. And in some cases of people who have the water but do not yet have the washroom, they will give you 3 months waiver of your water payments and so forth. So I want to thank the Minister and DOASCO publicly for this effort. Because our intention is to ensure that every home in Dominica has potable water. Every home in Dominica has potable water. So I want to commend young Najimi for his efforts. This young man, you can see that he loves his community. It's a guy who will do work free of charge for the community, and who will go beyond the call of duty as a chairman to do what he has to do for the community. And I call on the rest of the councillors. We have Mr. Knight, who has been a long-standing councillor, very experienced councillor, and others who are making themselves available, my friend Shillingford and Miss Valentine. All of you, we have to work together to ensure that Colihaut can go places and Colihaut can continue to be a very wonderful place to be. It's always a pleasure to be here in Colihaut. Always a pleasure. Wonderful people, very hospitable, very welcoming. I'm always happy to be here in Colihaut. I want to thank you very much. And finally, I want to recognize the efforts of the clerk of the village council. So you have the resources, the human resources available to you. I see my friend Mrs. John Baptist there, a long-standing teacher there. And I see Miss Catherine Daniel there. So we don't have to look elsewhere for the human resources we need to advance the development of Colihaut. We have it right here in Colihaut, and if I dare say, right here in this room tonight. Thank you very much, and God bless you.